Alright everyone, so today I'm going to be painting this replica of a Roman Gladius short sword. I got it off of Amazon. I will include in the description what company I actually ordered it from on Amazon, what company made it. It was made in India, and it's a really good replica. I mean, it's very sturdy. It has the dimensions that are appropriate for a replica, and the Roman Gladius short sword is probably one of my favorite short swords. I really like the design, and I'm a student of history, you could say. So I recognize how often it was used throughout human history. It is something that very much shaped a lot of the Western world, for better or for worse. But it's a big part of history. The original Gladius, well, the one that was used most often by the Roman army, was designed by Spaniards and adopted by the generals, legates, emperors of Rome, as well as a favored weapon for the Roman legions. And today I'm going to be basically just freestyling as far as painting goes. I'm going to be painting with paint that is usually used for models, like model airplanes, tanks, cars, things like that. I have a few colors over there. I'm actually mixing some thinner in with this black enamel paint right now, and I'm going to do the basic design with the black with some very fine tipped brushes. And once I have the basic outline of the designs, I'll probably add some color. Not really sure yet, but I don't have a plan for how I'm going to paint this thing. But I like to build off of basic designs, like to start small and then just kind of expand based on how I am inspired to expand in any work of art, really. So here shortly I will start painting this sword, this wooden sword replica, and I'm going to use the time-lapse function on my phone to get through a lot of the basic design of this sword, just so you don't have to watch every painstaking little stroke. But I will record real-time footage of me painting it after the time-lapse. But you'll get to see kind of the time-lapse section of the video just after I stop this introduction. So I will see you in just a second. Alright everyone, so this is the kind of midway point of what I'm going to do to this sword tonight. I'm going to take a break, but yeah, I'm really liking how it's turning out. You know, I didn't want it to be clean cut in how I paint this. I want it to be very, rough, very ink-like in the design. So I'll just explain a few of the things we have going on here. Now, this symbol right here is the Helm of Awe, and it has an official name, I guess you could say, that I can't really pronounce. But here's some information on it. It's called the Aegis Jalmer, and it looks a lot like that. It's very Germanic in origin, Nordic, if you will. I'll go ahead and turn to the page before. It gives a little bit more information about it. And there you go. I like to give as much information as possible so that if anybody wants to look more into the symbols that I use, then they have the resources. Just look up the Helm of Awe, and you will find plenty of information about it. Now, I wanted that to be kind of this, and by the way, this book is Teutonic Magic by Edred Thorson, which is a great author for Ossetru, which is Reconstructionist, and also shamanic information and runic lore that will greatly help you on the Northern European path of spirituality. Now, I made that kind of the centerpiece. I'm I'm gonna be altering that, adding more onto it, kind of creating a better design pattern around it as much as I can with the amount of space that I have. I have these reeds, kind of vines intertwining, which is very big Nordic commonality in artwork. Intertwining vines or cords or things that are continuous and flowing. Then we have a raven right here, which is a representation of Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, who are Odin's ravens that travel through the world, bringing news back to Odin and observing everything. Very symbolic of how the world is Odin's mind. Then we have a little bit of a sun right there behind it, more of a shamanic sun than a actual literal representation. We have a Viking who's breathing out Ansus, which is basically an F with the capital F with its arms pointed down. And Ansus is basically the rune of insight, calling upon the gods and spiritual ecstasy. And he's breathing that out with his life. And then we have the Volknut, my representation of it here, which is its own feeling. The Volknut is represented in the basic pattern of the three triangles, but in many different styles throughout artwork of Nordic origin. And then we have, at last on top, Mjolnir, shooting out lightning bolts. Mjolnir is Thor's hammer. It is his weapon of choice when slaying giants and basically combating chaos that ails both the gods and man. And Mjolnir is always the basic same shape. It's very a short hammer, a very stubby hammer, but a very powerful hammer. Its own consciousness emanating from it, even while Thor grasps it. Now, I really like how this sword is turning out. This is kind of the halfway point. I've used a lot of the black enamel paint that I have, but I have quite a bit of it. I've used a lot of paint thinner as far as trying to create shading with the black enamel paint, trying to expand some of the paint out to create a shadow effect, and I really like how it's turning out. That wasn't my original intention, but I found that it works really well for creating a new layer of depth and detail and shading, essentially. It's turning out quite well, but I'll continue working on this in a second, and you'll see how it'll turn out for today. Well, everyone, here is the finished product. As far as this side of the sword, the other side will be, I think I'm going to use wood burning, because this enamel paint is really hard to work with on wood. And you know, maybe it's not all enamel paint, but the stuff that I have is old, and I don't think it's meant for this. I also have two brushes that do not work well with the enamel paint. Nor do they work well with wood. It's hard to get a fine brush stroke. This took way longer than it should have. I mean, I love how this turned out. This looks pretty good. I mean, especially considering what I was working with. But to be honest, it could have turned out even better. Just my materials are just crap right now. You know what? Let me just fix something real quick. For instance, you know, this is the first time I really worked with like model type paint, and these brushes that I have, they're not good brushes, and you know, it took me a while to realize that, but I am looking forward to finding the right kind of brushes, because it seems like, for instance, like if I dip my brush into the paint, I either get a whole lot of paint or I just get scratches, and this keeps happening. And I mean, I should have analyzed my materials before, but you know, I'm still kind of new to not necessarily painting, but painting in this way. I'm much better at engraving things like this than painting. And the paint thinner that I've been using, well, let's just say I've used a lot of it, because I've needed to correct quite a few things. See, I shouldn't have even touched it up. I should have just left it like it was, and I would have been better than I am now, which I found myself saying that for this piece a lot. I mean, I like how this side turned out. It's just, it took way more effort than it should have, like a lot more effort than it should have. And looking forward to trying wood burning on the other side. I haven't done wood burning in a while. It's not something I'm proficient in, but hey, it's got to be a hell of a lot more precise than this, because man, this was a pain to work with, and it's not just because I'm sick, even though I am sick. But anyway, this is what I got. This is what I turned up with, and you know, I do like it. I think it turned out well. And you know, I'm really looking forward to trying the same Nordic flowing designs on the back. You know, I was thinking about doing some maybe yantras, Hindu visual mantras, basically, and maybe some like the Om symbol, and a few other Hindu symbology. But I think I'm gonna stick with the Nordic style, but just try it with wood burning on the back, on this blank side. And, of course, a lot of this is running. You see how this is running? I am not professional at this. I am the opposite of professional at this. But, for my first attempt at painting a wood sword with materials that I did not fully understand, I mean, hell yeah, man. But hey, if you made it this long, thank you very much for watching. I hope that this has been an interesting view, and I will surely record the wood burning on the other side in the future. But hey, shoot me a like if you thought this was interesting at all. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I don't usually do stuff like this. I usually do spiritual videos. And I will certainly see you in the future. Y'all have a great one.